Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Makeda of Eternal Wellness Institute, and this video is entitled Womb Healing. And really and truly, it's healing for everyone, because everyone came through a womb, and once we can tap back into that energy and heal all wombs, it'll be a better place. So I'm going to start off by reading this little note I made. And let me start off by saying that everything that I speak about is through direct experience, revelation, through meditation, and things that have just been revealed to me through divine grace. So, when women let go of all pain and truly commit to healing and opening the heart, she becomes an embodiment of divine love. Through divine love, she becomes and experiences the divine feminine by tapping into Shakti. And Shakti is like the feminine creative energy. And Shakti is also like the feminine creative sexual energy that is at the base of the spine, where Kundalini resides. By tapping into Shakti, she's able to create anything and become a powerful force for healing and love. From this place, she can fully manifest her divine purpose as the divine feminine. And I know this video is, tailored to womb healing and the divine feminine, but the same is true of men, because everyone came through the womb. And it's just a process which I'm going to expound upon and explain. So, I've come to find out that in traditional Chinese medicine, you have the meridians. And I found out that there is the heart uterus meridian. So the heart and the uterus is directly connected. Now, if you take it a step further and you just look into earth sciences and metaphysics, or whatever you might call it, the heart and the earth is directly connected. So what you find is that your heart, when you're in tune, your heart is like a direct reflection of the pulse of the earth. So the heart has a pulse, the earth has a pulse, and the womb has a pulse, which you can begin to experience when you pay attention to it and you tap into it. So the heart, womb, and the earth is connected, and the earth, the Mother Earth, is like the feminine principle. So we all have this direct connection in relation to the earth, and I just found that fascinating. So, yeah, it was fascinating that those three things are connected. And you'll see the connection more as I go on and just talk about what I'm talking about. So I mentioned, healing through letting go of all pain and all these negative emotions. And I said, negative emotions, or not even negative emotions, but lower frequencies, because that's what they are. Now, the ultimate emotion, the highest emotion, the God emotion is love, unconditional love. And we experience that with babies, newborn babies who are like fresh. Their spirit is fresh from the source. And they have this outpouring of love. So, the body has what you call cellular memory. So everything that you have experienced, every pain, all those things that you experience, anger, frustration, everything is stored in the body. And for women, we store a lot of pain and regret, and a lot of these emotions, we store them in the womb and the breast. And we're suppressing a lot of these emotions because we're not taught in society how to fully deal with them and embrace them. And you see that, magnified with men. When they're raised, they're told to, be a man, man up, you too emotional. So they're not embracing those emotions and being able to use the fire of purification to go through them. So it's the same with the womb. And a lot of women, we have this hurt and pain. And Eckhart Tolle teaches about the pain body. And the pain body is similar. We all have a personal pain body, and then we have a collective pain body, like the collective mind or the collective consciousness. And women as a whole have this collective pain body. And one way you can look at it is like your ancestors. Through your blood connection, you're connected to them. You're connected to all their pain and, everything that they went through. So women as a whole have this pain body that we're connected to. And if we're not aware of it, we feed the pain body and we're just taken into that unconscious space. So one way to get out of the pain body and not be governed or controlled by it is to be very present in the now by embracing your emotions and just being very present with your emotions and what you're feeling. So a lot of times, something triggers us. That's because of our pain body and we're not conscious of it. So let me say, someone calls me on the phone and they piss me off. I have an option to be triggered by them because of my past pain, which is still resonating in my aura or in my consciousness. I'm still tuned into that. It's like frequencies. And we feed the pain body by our unconsciousness. And we feed it when we give it more energy. It gets bigger and bigger when we just unconsciously go into and are triggered by certain emotions. So we have to really become conscious and aware of what we're feeling and not repress anything. That's how we deal with the pain body and, let go. So as I was saying that all of our emotions are stored in the body. So for women, a lot of our pain and everything that we've experienced, a lot of that stuff we're not taught how to deal with it. So when we go through a breakup or we go through trauma, sexual abuse, a lot of those things we don't deal with it and we suppress them and they're stored within our bodies and then they manifest as, illness, whether physical, mental, or spiritual. Because we don't deal with our shit. So, one way to really start healing the womb and just start healing your whole being and your consciousness is to look back at, you might get some paper out and look back at all the things that you've been through, all the things that you're holding on to, all the people that you haven't forgiven and made peace with. And try to do that bit by bit. Forgiveness. And, forgiveness is really not for the other person. It's for you. Because when you forgive someone, you're releasing all those negative emotions and lower frequencies out of your being so you can heal and move forward. So, as I was saying, we're not taught how to tap into our emotions and deal with them. So a lot of our negative emotions we suppress. Now, the emotions, what I'm going to talk about is the dimensions. Right now you have, I'm going to talk about dimensions 1 through 9. They're higher dimensions, but 1 through 9 is what we're going to deal with right now. The first dimension deals with the earth and the elements that build up the natural world. The core of the earth, the crystal core of the earth. Yeah, I said it. The center of the earth is a quartz crystal. And 2D would be like a little bit above, from above the core of the earth, almost till you get to the crust of the earth. And those represent like the elemental beings that govern the plant life and things like that. Then you have 3D, which is where we're situated. Our physical body is in 3D. What we're experiencing, all these things, the table, the computer, that's 3D. Now 4D is our emotions, the emotional body. So what we really need to do is first tune into the earth. You know, a lot of people call it grounding. So you tune into the earth and you vibrate with the earth, that frequency, because it's like a ladder. You have to be anchored in 1D, 2D, and 3D to actually go into 4D and access the higher dimensions. So by meditating, grounding, and connecting with the earth, becoming in resonance with the earth, you experience a healing. And I said healing, but more like a synchronization or a harmonization. Because when you're in harmony, the earth, your heart and your womb vibrates and pulses with the earth at that frequency. Then you can start to go higher. So 4D is where the emotions are like really, they're a gateway to tapping into the fourth dimension and higher dimensions. So in society, we've been programmed not to embrace our emotions, not to be emotional, and all these things. And what I've found is that the quicker when I really embrace my emotions and what I'm going through, I go through them in lightning speed. You know, I'm not stuck in depression. It just doesn't happen. So what comes to mind is the saying, what you resist persists. So like all the things that we go through, if it doesn't happen the way we want them to happen, we're resistant to it. So we experience this strife, this suffering, because we're resistant to what is. And what is the now. That's all it is. So if now I'm on the 76 and I'm stuck in traffic, you know, I have the option to like be like, okay, I'm in traffic. That's my now. What can I do but embrace that? Or I can be like, you know what? I'm late. Why am I in this traffic? I need to get where I'm going. You can start speeding and then start generating all these emotions because you're resisting what is now and what's your reality. So by being totally anchored in the now, you know, in the now, and I mentioned Eckhart Tolle before. He has a very amazing, life-changing, dynamic book. It's called The Power of Now. And every time I listen to it, I learn so much, and I am like more in the now. So let me try not to get off course here because I have a lot to talk about. Okay, so you got 4D. Once you're fully in 4D, that's when, and the emotions, let me mention this, the emotions is linked to your intuition. So once you actually clean the slate of all the negative emotions, the residual like junk and muck that is blocking that mirror, that third eye, once you clear that out, it's like this. Your third eye opens, you can see, and then you can begin to access higher dimensions. So this video is not only about womb healing. It's about accessing higher dimensions and levels of consciousness, higher levels of your being, because You're multi-dimensional. So, okay, I'm gonna switch it right here, and I'm gonna say that Christ is my homie. Okay? I'm being silly, but Christ is my homie. Okay, so we have been taught a lot of different things about Christ, and some of us is like he didn't really exist. We don't like him. You know, that's a load of crap. But Christ was a ninth, or is a ninth dimensional being that came and incarnated into the world to seed ninth dimensional consciousness into the world. Now, we were taught that Christ wasn't married. He didn't have a wife. You know, he was like a hermit. He just wasn't in the world. But he was in the world, but not of the world. Like it says in the Bible, we have to be in the world, but not of the world. So he's a ninth dimensional being that came in to anchor to seed and anchor a ninth dimensional bloodline into the world with Mary Magdalene. So Christ is a part of the priesthood of the Melchizedek priesthood, the Melchizedek order. So he represented a lot of this ancient wisdom that has been suppressed. So he was that masculine energy. And then his wife, Mary Magdalene, was that divine feminine that had that knowledge. That's why she was just pushed out of the Bible. So you had the order of Melchizedek, and then you had the order of Mary Magdalene. The order of Mary Magdalene taught all these ancient sciences of being the divine feminine, about healing, sacred relationships. So I went off on that to say that when you normally see pictures of Christ and depictions of Christ, you would see him pointing to the heart. I'm getting a call. You would see pictures of Christ pointing to the heart. A lot of pictures I've seen, you would see like a red heart, and he'd be pointing to it because he was giving you a message, a secret to higher consciousness. Now Christ consciousness really represents like unconditional love and the energy of the heart chakra. So it's like once we begin to tap into the emotions, we clear the slate and let go of all those emotions that have been holding us down, then we can actually go up. So, okay, now to open the womb requires like total embrace. I'm sorry, I'm replying to his text. So, to really open the womb and heal ourselves, and this is not just for men, we need to embrace all aspects of ourselves. And we need to be in relationships that are supportive and accept all aspects of ourselves. Because I've been in relationships where I felt like, well, I couldn't be my true self. You know, that person, you know, wouldn't like that, or they would look at me funny. But it's through this total embrace of yourself that you can surrender. You can totally surrender and open up. And I've experienced this. And it's so real. So, you know, I'm not telling you to leave your partner if you feel like you can't be your true selves. But you need someone who will embrace every aspect of yourself so you can really manifest your higher self. So it's really going through like the dark night of the soul and really embracing all aspects of yourself so you can transform it if it needs to be transformed. So, and you know, in a lot of relationships, sexually, we feel inhibited. Now, the sexual energy The sexual energy is a very powerful energy. It's the energy of like creation. It's spiritual energy. But we have been taught to close ourselves off from that energy. You know, it's wrong. It's a lower energy. You know, we've been taught that. But it's through this energy that we have the power to create. That's the energy of the womb. That's the energy of the woman. And, you know, in esoteric traditions, the woman was the grail. She was the crucible. She was the chalice, that womb. And if you look at the universe, it's literally a womb. And that's what we have within us to create anything that we want to create. But as a woman, if you're in pain and you're holding on to these emotions that's holding you back, you're not going to create nothing. You're just going to create and manifest more pain and more hurt. So in order to really access that divine feminine, that creative power, once again, we have to go within. We have to go deep and embrace all that we've been through. We have to embrace our lives, because a lot of us have been through things in life that we're still resisting. And the only thing that is real and present right now is the present moment. The past already happened. But we're keeping it alive because of our mental and emotional attachment to it. So that energy is still very real and present to us. And we're not moving forward. So we're still vibrating at that frequency, and we bring more of that into our lives. Like attracts like. Now, I was talking about the woman being like the chalice, the holy grail, as it was called. These were very esoteric teachings that weren't taught to us, but it was encoded for us to kind of like figure out once we tap into certain levels of consciousness. So the woman was the container for this divine energy, and the man would insert himself, tap into that energy, you know, take it, use it, and use it to create and manifest. And it's similarly true with men. As a woman, when you have men entering into you, he's leaving energy there. And you can tap into that energy, take from it, and create and manifest. Now, what happens in a lot of relationships is that one person is the loved and the next person is the lover. You know, one person is powerful and one person is weak. So whoever has that ashe, that power, that is the one that is the container for the energy. And then that other person, they come in, dip their bucket into the well, they take that energy, and then they manifest and create. So for women and men, I've seen this manifest, like when I think about like the like different kings that had 100 concubines, or all these women, they were tapping into that feminine energy and using these women to create what they want instead of harnessing that energy for themselves. And I see it today, and I'm not going to say in all relationships that it's that way, but most of the times it is. You know, and I see it that we do it unconsciously today. Like a lot of men have multiple women and they're sleeping around. That's because they haven't tapped into their own power, and subconsciously they know that the yoni, the vagina, the womb is the container for that energy. So women, we're used all the time. So men, they'll have multiple women and they're not tapping into them higher selves. So they take that energy from the woman and go forward with it. So we have this imbalance where in relationships, one person is strong, one is weak. And they feed off of the other person's energy to hold them up. Now, what we need to do to change that dynamics is both persons need to be whole and complete and healed for there to be a divine relationship between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We need to work on ourselves and our consciousness and then come together. And, we're going to fit in like this. It's going to be good. and then we move forward and create and see this world with higher consciousness, the divine feminine, the divine. And we see this in depictions of like, we see this even in the church. They talk about the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and we see it in images of like a divine family, and even in the church, it should have been the mother, the father, mother, and the son. But like I said, they take that feminine essence out there, and they put something else in. So, and we see this in different depictions. Like in India, you have Shiva, Shakti, and their divine child. So it's by this process of alchemy and working on the self that we can experience womb healing and man healing. And then we can come together and seed the world with this new bloodline of Christ consciousness and higher dimensional knowledge and wisdom through divine love. And, I'm going to go back and say that, I'm going to say that everything is a reflection of us. Everything. So a lot of us, when we experience pain and, we hate somebody because it's something they've done to us, ultimately, we hate ourselves because everything is connected. We're all one. So that person represents an aspect of yourself that you have not come to peace with, that you haven't accepted, that you haven't given love to. And it's through this alchemy of forgiving and loving everyone that we can love ourselves, because ultimately we're all one. But we're taught separation. And it's kind of natural because we have this separate body, so we're separated. But it's the illusion of separateness that's keeping us apart. And like fear and love can't occupy the same space at the same time. Fear is actually an illusion created by man. And then we put that fear onto God. The church teaches you to fear God. Fear, fear, fear. But how the hell can you fear something that you are? How can you fear yourself? Because we're all like droplets, from this cosmic ocean. We're all droplets of water, all coming from the same source. So how can you fear something that you are, that you're from? This is just teachings and things that we have been programmed to believe. But we really have to look at the way we grew up, the things that we've been programmed to believe, and really ask ourselves, is this helping me grow or is this holding me back? You know what I mean? So, I'm really going to end this video here. I just had to make this video because this information has been coming in lightning speed, and I just wanted to put it on video so it's somewhere. And, these teachings are coming through me, so I believe, I have to put it out there to the world. So, if you found any of this helpful, leave a comment. Yeah. My name is Makeda once again. This is my passion and my purpose. Health and wellness, of the mind, of the body, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. All those things. Like, I'm here to, just rock the world. Rock the foundation that has just been built upon the sand. Yeah, if I can put it like that. So you can look me up on Facebook. I'm Natural Mystic on Facebook. And my website is www.iameternalwellness. And yeah, peace and love.